Welcome to The Secret Life of Mothers. My name is Maggie Gordon-Walker and I'm the founder of Mothers Uncovered. Join us as we explore and share the incredible hidden stories of mothers when life has thrown at them challenge. Discover how the skills we learn in matrescence, which means becoming a mother, can teach us about more than motherhood. They teach us about unconditional love, resilience and acceptance. I'm joined today by Melum. Ida is a BAFTA and BIFA nominated and Annie RTS award-winning animation director based in Sweden. She has a master's degree in directing animation from the National Film and Television School in London, where she made her award-winning and BAFTA-nominated graduation film, Night of the Living Dread. She just finished her newest film, Ovary-Acting, a short comedy that deals with the topic of whether to have children or not. The film premiered at Tribeca and Annecy, has screened at over 50 festivals so far and won several awards, including Flickers Rhode Island Best Animated Short. Ida, welcome to The Secret Life of Mothers.
Thank you so much.
Is it Annecy? I just thought, I thought I should have checked how that's pronounced. It is Annecy.
Yeah, no, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Annecy, yeah.
Cool. So, Ida, you live in Sweden. As I said to you just now, you're my first international guest, so that's very exciting. The power of Zoom means we can speak in different continents.
Yeah,
well, actually, obviously the same continent, but different countries.
Yeah.
So, are you in the same area now as you grew up in?
No, well, I guess I'm in Scandinavia. So I'm from Norway, born and grew up there. And when I was 21, I wanted to study abroad. I'd already had an opportunity to go to the UK once. I actually went to Oxford to study Shakespeare when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
Because we spoke a little bit about theatre, didn't we? So yeah, I was a proper geek. And so I went there and obviously fell in love with Oxford in the UK. And then I spent a year as an exchange student in the States. So by the time when I came to choose a university, I'd luckily already spent a lot of time abroad and really wanted to go back abroad. So I ended up going to Middlesex University and studied in London. And then I stayed 9 years in the UK in total. I met my husband, but he was Swedish. So when we wanted to relocate, we actually moved closer to Gothenburg, where he's from. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Okay. Yes, and of course, as usual, Scandinavians put the English to shame with their ability to speak English, probably better than most English people. But obviously, yeah, you spent a long time here, so that
I did, yeah, I did.
It. So, what, Ida, would we need to know about you to understand how you describe yourself as a mother?
Right, yeah, no, I would say what you would need to know about me is that I am an animator and filmmaker, and also I have a theater background. So I think that in my head, I think it makes me quite an animated person, quite expressive, quite silly and quite goofy. I love making my daughter giggle, and I think she's catching on to like all the funny faces I'm pulling and stuff, which is really, really fun. And then I'm also quite I really love my family and my friends and my partner, and I love to show it. So I think I'm quite like physical and loving in that way, and nurturing in that way. So that comes quite naturally. So I think I'm a goofy but also loving mom. I
think probably the best way to be. You don't want to be too serious because it's hard work. So if you couldn't kind of make light of it.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to do that every moment so far. Yeah.
Good. How old is your daughter?
Oh, she's just 6 months and a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Well, you're looking remarkably radiant and together for someone.
Thank you. The power of makeup. Oh,
yes.
It's been a couple of sleepless nights, but we've kind of hit our sleep deprivation now. We got really lucky. We got a baby that loved sleeping and would sleep from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m., which is a bit unheard of, I think. But now that we've gone into solids and this stuff, we're sleeping a bit less, but everything comes in phases, I think.
Yeah, no, that is often the way. I think an early sleeper might then have problems, and a difficult sleeper at the start might then become it's going to go to and fro till she's at least 2 or 3, I would imagine.
Yeah, completely. Yeah,
Different
yeah, yeah.
phases.
Absolutely.
Cool. So, your story. So often when I'm talking to people, we start with their birth, but obviously, your big thing and why we're
Mm,
talking today is your decision to have children. So I looked a
mm.
little bit at your director's statement that was sent to
Yeah,
me. So it said that you were watching the Norwegian Prime Minister on
yeah.
TV urging
Mm,
women to have children, and then you realised there was this societal expectation on you to have a
yeah,
child.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and this is what led to the film, which when I read it, I thought, oh, that's an unusual name, Ovary-Acting. And I thought, oh,
Yeah,
Ovary-Acting. Oh, it's
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
it.
It's
So
my
please tell us, Ida, about all about the film, the reason for the name,
yeah,
everything. Let's hear
yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm glad you like the title. That's my brilliant writer, Laura Turnbridge, and yeah, she's super funny. We all who doesn't love a good pun, right? And so,
Yeah. Generally,
so
I don't, but if it's a really good, clever pun, then I do.
yeah,
It's the kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
cheesy
yeah.
ones I'm like,
Yeah, no, but so yeah, I made the short film, which is about whether or not to have kids, and so it's quite meta because as people know now, I have a kid, but it started when I was in my late 20s, I think, because I've been with my husband for a long time. We met when we were quite young, 21 and 22, so we've been together for like 7 or 8 years at this point, and I have a really big family, and I was at, several family events, and all my cousins, I have quite a few of them, they were all starting to settle down and have kids in their own families. And so I think people kept looking at me and wondering, like, why hadn't I, quote unquote, settled down or had kids of my own? And there was many awkward confrontations about, when was I gonna have kids? Why I hadn't had kids yet? And it made me question, did I want to have kids because I wanted to have them, or did I want to have kids because it was expected of me? And then there was, I think, when that little thought in my head plopped, I started seeing things everywhere, and it wasn't like. But the thing what you mentioned about the Norwegian Prime Minister literally happened. She went on TV and she told Norwegian women, like, we need to have more babies. And
Mm.
so there was just like, I suddenly, there was this pressure from, it felt like it was coming from a lot of angles. And then I spoke to, it was coming from myself as well. I don't think I've ever given myself the opportunity to consider something else. I was just like, so, and then by this time I'm going to have kids, I never even given myself that room to contemplate, is that something I want? So it was, as much as was society and, TV and politics and news, it was also coming from myself. So I finally then, and after speaking to, a lot of people my age, and I think it hit home, it hit close to home to a lot of people. I realized there's definitely a story here that I wanted to develop and look into. And so we spent, was it 2 years getting all the finance for it, and then a year and a half shooting it. And then we created this story, which is a silly comedy told through stop motion about Eva, who finds herself stuck at her sister's baby shower, where she's fighting off questions left, right, and center regarding if she's going to have kids or when she's going to have kids of her own. And then this whole pressure, built up, and internally, her stomach starts to grow, and then she actually ends up giving birth to her reproductive organ. It sounds really gory, but it's not. She comes out, she's super cute.
I've seen the trailer, which I will say it now in case I forget at the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, the trailer is straight after this. So yeah, it kind of looks like a heart almost. It's a sort of
Yeah, yeah,
purple
yeah, and it's
heart-shaped
all with like
cute
fuzziness.
thing.
So it sounds gory when I tell it, but it really isn't. But so she becomes this like annoying sidekick that wants nothing more for them to have a baby, and oh, yeah, she's this like perfect metaphor for your own internal turmoil and debate, and also societal pressure. And so the film is just about them going on this adventure, finding out what is right for them. So yeah.
Mhm.
But long story short, basically what happened was during this time of making the film, I've been with this topic for I don't know how many years, maybe 4 or 5 or something like that. And in the end, I have found out that, I actually wanted kids. So yeah, the craziest thing was that I actually had my baby, and the deadline happened in the same 2 weeks. So
Wow.
it was
You
mental.
gave birth in two senses.
Yeah, I literally did. I had two babies in 1 year.
Yeah. So that
Absolutely.
was 2021, was it, when you started on the
Yeah.
project?
Yeah.
And then it came out earlier this year, didn't it?
Yeah, we finished it in so we sort of wrapped the film at the end of April, and I had my daughter on the 21st of April. So it's
Right.
pretty crazy. But yeah. But I
Yeah.
had again, I don't know if my team was stressed or not. Whether they were, they kept it from me really well because they were really cool. They were really chill. And my family was, there to support us, and we got through it. And yeah, yeah, it was wild.
I'm sure, yeah. So, yeah, was this the first time I think you said you'd used puppets in this film? Was it? Or did I not read that correctly?
No, 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 no. So I have a stop motion background, so I use stop motion
Mhm.
puppets. But you're right. The new thing I tried in this one was the live action puppetry. So kind of like
Okay,
a
can you talk
Muppet.
us through that because I don't
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
understand it.
So like stop motion, as we all know, is like Aardman. Stop motion technique is like,
Okay.
yeah, Wallace and Gromit is stop motion, but they use I think it's a clay or something to shape there. But my technique is more, I guess you could compare more to like Coraline, like puppets that are solid that we animate. And then in the film, we uh, just because I wanted it, and it's probably because of a combination of my creative background. I wanted a musical number, so we in a 10-minute film we just squeezed a great little Hollywood-esque musical number in the middle, and we used the live action puppets, so more like a Muppets kind of technique,
Okay.
and videotape these puppets and comp them in as background dancers.
I'm
So
just
yeah.
wondering because obviously it was, speaking to you and your
Mm.
experience that maybe that was the reason why you wanted to use those live action puppets because you felt like you were inside the film. It was you and your experience.
Yeah, I
I mean,
guess
I
so.
haven't
Yeah.
seen your previous work, so but I'm
Mm.
assuming it wasn't. It's not so, it's not. I'm not saying it's autobiographical completely, but it had a
No,
bigger
no, no,
element
but
perhaps than in previous
complete.
films you've done. I just wondered,
Yeah, no, no,
just
but like the
curious.
topic of the film is definitely like close to home. Like I wouldn't have felt the urge to make this film have I not gone through it myself. I think, in this like having that inner debate, and I think I really needed to have that discussion with myself, and I needed that time to figure out, what was right for me. Um, and I just wanted to show people that it's okay. But it's quite like a not small topic, it's a big topic, but I think it's just like we had such a great team behind it. I had this core team of women behind me, so my producers and my writer and my editor, and we were five women from all walks of life, some who spanning from 25 to like late 40s, one who had kids young, some who didn't want kids, some who was trying for kids, some whose road to kids looked different. And I think that to me was so reassuring that we just poured so much of ourselves into it, trying to hit as many different aspects of the topic. Obviously, there's only so much you can do in 10 minutes, but we
Mhm.
really tried, to push so much of ourselves into it and make it entertaining at the same time. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, Maggie, sorry, I was just going on a tangent. What was the question?
Yeah, that's fine. No, I was just, surmising that you being in it was the reason perhaps for using the live action puppets because it perhaps felt,
Yeah.
much closer to your life
Mm,
than maybe previous films you'd done. Obviously, I haven't seen your
yeah.
other films, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Um,
yes, so so when you started the film,
mm.
did you know then you wanted to have children, or was it still, or it started even like looking for the money for it, or was it still a bit of flux in your
Yeah.
mind?
Yeah. No, I think I knew around the time when we were applying for funding. So
Yeah.
maybe like 3 years before the film came out or got
Mhm.
finished, I think I knew. Yeah, that's when I sort of felt like I'd figure out what I wanted.
So your little girl was born, as you said, in April. So
Mm,
how was the birth for you? Because obviously by that time you'd made the film.
mm.
Um, and did you talk to other mothers around the birth, or was it just within your team of people who either did or didn't, or
Yeah, yeah, no, I actually, the film actually finished after my daughter was born. So I kept working. I was working all the way through, and we were so busy because the festival you mentioned earlier, Annecy, is the biggest animation festival in the world. So when we knew that we got in, that was a really big deal for us and the team. But the film wasn't finished, so we were scrambling to get it done. And so I was working nonstop, and because I just really wanted the film to be done. But animation, as we all know, is quite time consuming and a lot of work. So it didn't go as fast as we wanted. So again, I was animating the day I went into labor. So yeah, it was mental. But I was lucky. My pregnancy, I felt good the entire time. Like my husband and I, we renovated a bedroom. Like we did the typical things, but I was in such good shape that I could do that physically and mentally, and I never felt ill. I had a really easy pregnancy, like honestly, and I had good energy. I felt good. So it was all right to crack on. And I don't know if I was like being an ostrich and stuck my head in the dirt, but I didn't want to hear about too many people's birth stories. Like I just didn't want to, I didn't ask and I didn't want to know. I was just like, it's just a thing that's gonna happen, and I don't want to do it, but I'm gonna have to go through it. But I might as well just not think about it as much as I can. So I guess like I went with like ignorance is bliss. For that. But the thing is, my mum, she had two kids, so me and my sister, and I just happened to ask her a little bit about birth just a couple of months before we had Eleanor. And my mum, I'm very similar to my mum physically, and she said, "Well, you came after like your sister came in like 2.5 hours, and you came in an hour and 45." And I thought she meant with like pushing. But that was literally from the first contraction till we were like out. So I was like, what? So then with that in mind, luckily my husband was the one that was like, I have a feeling you're going to be very similar to your mum, because I am very similar to my mum. So we were kind of mentally prepared that it might be a quick one, and it was. I went into labor that evening, and I woke up in the middle of the night at like 3, and I knew it was kicking in, and my husband was like, within the first 10 minutes, is like, I think we should go to the what's it called in English, like the
Well, the maternity ward, I guess.
yeah, to the maternity ward. And I was like, nah, because my fear was that, they're gonna tell me I'm -2 in opening, or, send me home.
-2.
Yeah, like, yeah, you wimp, get it together, do the work. I was like, that was my biggest fear. So I was like, no, it's too early, it's too early. Like, I literally woke up 10 minutes ago, and it's like, nah, you're in a lot of pain. We're gonna go in. And he even called them, and they're like, maybe you should wait a bit. He's like, nah, we're gonna come in. And thank God we did, because when we got in and I got checked, I was already 5 centimeters, I think. That was within an hour of waking up. 20 minutes later, when we get our room, I think I was 8 centimeters dilated or something. And that happened in an hour and a half, which is just mental. It's for your first one, I've understood that's very unusual, basically. It's a lot more time consuming. And so, yeah, then it was just rock and roll, there was no going back. And I did get some pain relief, thank God. And then she came out, which slowed things down, but then she came out at 9 o'clock. So I think it was 5.5 hours total. Yeah.
So
It was
your mum's like,
intense.
yeah, I've still got the record.
Yeah, literally, she still does. I asked her, this is my biggest fear, because I was like, I do not want to go through this naturally. I'm not one of those women. I wanna have all the pain meds that I'm allowed to. And my mum was like, I asked her, did you ever get pain relief? And she's like, they try to give it to me, but there wasn't enough time for it to kick in. Oh my God.
Yes.
Ay.
Yes, my second baby was pretty fast, and I think I had maybe
Really?
2 puffs of gas and air, and then it's like, my first
Yeah,
was
no.
longer and more painful, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
different.
It's rough, isn't it? Because it's so intense. But here's the thing: obviously, like, I just wanted it to be over. I don't know how you felt, Maggie, but I just wanted it to be over. But one good thing about quick births, because I don't think, a long birth is anything to strive for, because I think it takes such a bigger toll on the mum. Because, yeah, that was really intense 5 hours, but it was just 5 hours. So I recovered really quickly and I felt good. And I was up walking a couple hours later on. I don't know how that was for you.
Yeah, yes, I think I walked fairly soon after. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's such a tricky one because, as you say, women should be allowed to have whatever pain relief they want, absolutely. But
Mm.
I do, from having one with an epidural and one with nothing, my body kind of kicked it. I had such an adrenaline surge afterwards and felt amazing
Did
because
you?
there were no drugs in my system. But
Yeah.
what do? Women are screaming in agony. You're going to give them something to take the pain away. But
Yeah.
it's such a shame. It's one of the things I feel very strongly about. Is I don't know how it is in Norway or Sweden, but
Mm.
in this country, you give birth in a ward in a hospital, and I've
Mm.
never understood why we can't actually create a home from home environment which you move into the day before you go into
Mm.
labour and actually have a more natural process. And I think there would probably be
Mm.
less pain relief. But there it is.
Mm.
No one's going to
Mm.
listen to
Mm.
me on that, but that's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we did a
Mm.
birthing course actually through our house station, which was brilliant. It was prophylax course or something like that,
Mhm.
and it was quite helpful actually because she just taught us, gave us. And it was from the partners, so both parts were there, the birthing person and the supporting partner, whether that was a parent or lover, blah blah blah, all that stuff. I found that really helpful because it was more helpful for whoever is supporting the person giving birth. So I think my
Mhm.
husband got a lot out of it because he then knew what tricks to do. So he knew, where to push on the hips, which actually sounds so silly, but like pushing on the hips is so effective and
Mm.
helping, because apparently if you push the hips and you at the top, you sort of open them so it's easier for the baby to and I was
Right.
just like, and he was pushing on my hips at the ward when it was all happening, and I kept telling him like I could feel the difference of when he was doing it and when he wasn't doing it, and we would have no clue about this, had we not gone to this course. So that course was really, really helpful, but
Mm.
mostly for whoever is in the supporting role. I think it gave them a very good, um, I think, expectation of what it could look like,
Yeah.
and what the mum is going through. And definitely like the psychological support she's gonna need. If
Mm.
that's probably one of the biggest ones as well. So that was definitely helpful. Yeah,
Oh.
prepping for it.
So you brought your daughter home probably
Mm.
quite quickly if it'd been a fast birth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got to stay 2 days, but that was more just because to check everything was good, and it's standard. You're allowed to go home whenever, but first time moms they recommend they stay 24 hours at least.
Mhm.
And then yeah, she was healthy. She was great. We were just waiting to get some results and stuff, and then we were allowed to go home after 2 days.
So how was it once you got back home and started to adjust to life with a baby, whilst obviously you were still furiously trying to finish the film?
I was working on the ward as well the day after she came
Wow.
out. But I think one, I was working because I was motivated. Two, I love what I do. And second, I had a good birth and I felt good. Had things not gone smoothly, obviously I wouldn't have been doing that stuff. But I think it was just a testament to how well things had gone. So I was really lucky. But we got home and then introduced her to our little dog. And yeah, just settled in, and then for the next couple weeks we cracked on and wrapped wrapped the film. So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty wild. But I
And
think
how has it been with your daughter in your life? Because yeah, generally when I speak to someone, there's been some sort of at least challenge in their life that they talk about. So what were the sort of less easy
mm,
parts perhaps with becoming a
mm,
mother for you?
what is the least easy parts? Well, there's many. I think it's like you suddenly have a lot less time to downtime, I guess, is one thing.
Mm.
Um, because you also want to be present. But I think it's trickier now because in the beginning they're so sleepy and just want to be close to you, so you can sort of be quite productive. I think my biggest challenge was being going from being just me and my partner, and then being able to produce and be so productive throughout my day and get so many things done. And
Mm.
then I have a baby. It gets a little bit reduced when she's newly born, but then when she gets older and she needs more stimulation and is more curious and is more active, that's also then going to require its attention. So I think my biggest struggle is accepting that I'm being way less productive with my time and my day, and I'm so used to getting so many things done, and
Mhm.
now I'm not. But then again, I also don't want to not spend that time with her. So it's a bit of a tug and pull, but I can definitely feel like that is something I'm still adjusting to, still not quite settled into yet. Um, the fact that things just move at such a slower pace, and the
Mm.
stuff that your list of things that you want to get done, you're lucky you get one thing done. you know
Does that feel
um
frustrating? That.
I still quite, yeah, it can definitely be frustrating if I feel stressed about something I really
Mm.
want to get finished, or I really want to get done. But at the same time, I think it's just a thing I need to accept.
Yeah.
It's yeah, you know, that kind of thing. So that's definitely been challenging for sure, I think.
Yeah. So the film has obviously come out and been at festivals. So you must have had feedback, I guess, from mothers who've seen it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'd be interesting to hear how it's gone down with them, particularly if there's people who've, decided not to have a child or maybe
Mm,
couldn't have a child. What kind of responses have you had, and kind of
yeah.
dialogues and conversations have you had around the ideas in the film?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's gone you know, above everything I expected. I was hoping people would relate to the film, but they really have, and it's been lovely. And it's come from a lot of angles I just never really uh, kind of foresaw that we would kind of touch upon. It's been so lovely. Obviously, women who don't want children really relate to the film. I think they're really grateful that we're even like touch upon the subject. But I
Mm.
also know that, mothers get this pressure as well. My cousin who had a baby, she said that as soon as she had her daughter, people were on her instantly. Like, so when's the next one? And she's like,
Mm.
Jesus Christ, like. So I think that people who choose not to have kids, or already have kids, or I think luckily they all feel seen by the film, which was my goal and hope. The film is just shining a light on this topic, hoping that, we can just have a conversation and make light of it a little bit, make fun of it, and hopefully spark more conversations and makes it a bit easier to talk about. We didn't ever want to tell people the right or wrong answer. In fact, only each person can decide what is right for them. But another thing that's been really lovely is that men relate to it, which I also really hoped that they would. I didn't want to alienate them. Um, and it's been really touching to hear from people who actually wanted kids, but they were struggling. And so for
Mm.
them, I think that pressure was really a sore point, because again, people are like, so when are you going to have kids? You never know what's going on behind people's closed doors. You never know. They might have been trying for a couple of years, and that is such a heartbreaking comment to just throw in
Yeah.
their face, right? So I think the film, that was something I learned whilst making it, and from people's reactions. And so I think that's been really eye-opening and really lovely. So yeah, I'm just happy people are responding to it.
Mm.
Yeah,
So are there many male characters within the film? Because you say it's a baby shower it starts, so that's presumably quite female.
it is. Yeah, yeah. No, there is definitely a large part of women, and it's about Eva, So and it's about the ticking clock in biology. So it's definitely gonna be more about women, naturally, I think. But we always hoped that men would resonate with it, and I think it's been nice. There was one guy who came up to me and he said, "It's so funny. I'm 34. I don't get this pressure, but I can see all of my female friends in my circle get it. My sisters are getting it, my friends are getting it. So he could just like see how biased it was as well. So that was really interesting.
Yes, because obviously for men, you can carry on having children. I think hasn't Al Pacino just had a child at 82 or something? Oh, I don't think that's probably the best idea in the world. It is interesting because obviously women now have so many more choices than they did
Yeah.
even a generation ago, certainly two
Yeah.
generations ago. And yet bodies haven't changed that much. You know, your
No.
fertility, yes, you can freeze eggs and all of that, but in general, there is a finite period of time at which it's optimum for a woman to have a child, and actually for the man's sperm, obviously. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bulk is on the woman, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. I think a lot of women feel this struggle
Mm.
between, you know, which you did, like have a child, but also you need to be a career person. It's just like, well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think
how do we
especially,
do both these things?
yeah, and especially because Maggie, you also have like a creative background. I think there's something also about being in a creative field, because the creative fields are notoriously unpredictable, right? We go from project to project. We don't have like, rarely do we have a steady 9 to 5 job. And I think obviously that is also playing into it. It's harder to because I can live off noodles for a month if I need to, but I don't want to make my kids live off noodles, so it's that responsibility. And I think when you have passions like we do, like within the creative fields, that's also a tug and pull where you know that you're going to have to find other ways, and maybe you can't be as risky with the projects you take on, and not, it's going to require a more uh, stability that the creative industries rarely provide, sadly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think as well that you're the friend or the person who commented, the man, there's also far less pressure. If a man decides he doesn't want to have a child, that's kind of neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But generally, if a woman doesn't, that's something to be commented on and for
I
her to be
know.
judged on. And there may be myriad reasons why a woman
Yeah.
doesn't have a child, from
Yeah.
not wanting one to not being able to have one to deciding that, the world's crowded enough as it is. But
Exactly.
yeah, it's
Exactly. When my sister has
pressure.
decided she doesn't want them, and I think, and I have so many friends who have found out it's not right for them. And I find it so
Mhm.
fascinating that people get so angry when this comes up. I don't get why it rubs people so wrongly. And you're absolutely right. It hits the women the worst. And then the funny thing to me is that they get called selfish, which to me,
Mm.
I'm like, I see it so opposite. I'm like, isn't it more selfish that I I had a kid? So it's a weird one. It's a weird one how they get all this um yeah, negativity.
Mm.
When in fact I just think people should be left to do what is right for them.
Mm. Has the film provoked some very extreme reactions from anyone so far that unexpected, or has it been
Not
sort of
yet.
fairly? Not yet.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows? Maybe one day there'll be like a scary letter. But no, no, no. It's
yeah.
all good. I think no, it's quite a chatty film. If anything, people find it a bit too on the nose or anything like that. But I think we made it a bit too on the nose because we made a film about a topic that is a bit tender. And I
Mhm.
felt like it was quite important that people understood very clearly where the team and I stood. So I can see why they think it's a little bit too on the nose in that sense. But no, like, super bad reactions so far. Fingers
So when
crossed.
you say on the nose, as in, can you just expand on that a bit more? So where do you feel the team? What was the team's kind of
Oh yeah, no,
thinking
yeah.
around it?
I think it was probably morely me pushing to be really clear what we were saying with the film, and really clear, almost spelling it out from the characters in the end. And that's not to undermine the audience. I think that came from me because I've never done a film about this sort of political theme or topic. So that was a new one for me as a filmmaker. And even though I'm a director, I'm also quite a people pleaser, which is quite contradicting. And so, obviously, I have my ideas, I have my stories that I want to tell, I have something I want to say about my films, and I also want to entertain. but I never want to make films to, piss people off or rub people the wrong way or be what you call it, like provocative or anything like that. Like I want to have things I want to say, but I also want to entertain and make people have a good time. And so I think just touching upon making a film about a political topic for the first time, I think for me then to feel good, or not to feel good, but like feel secure in that, I probably went quite, clear with the dialogue and spelling out maybe a bit too much the ending. But those are things that you learn and then you take on to the next
Sure.
project, sort of thing.
So would you say the message is that, there's too much pressure on women to have children? Would you say that was the sort of clear message, or it's they feel like they're conflicted?
Yeah, no, the message in the end that we're trying to say with the film is literally for people to sort of actually just like butt out of people's business. But I think there's definitely pressure on women to have kids, and I just, yeah, I really feel like we should let people be and do what they want to do and what makes them happy. I
Mm,
think people are very quick to judge others on what they do. Not just about this topic. That goes for so many things.
sure.
Yeah.
So how has becoming a mother changed you, do you think?
Well, for me, after like, thinking about it for so long, and then Eleanor arriving, that was just really exciting. I think it was after that time, it was such a right decision for me because I thought it through so thoroughly, both me and my husband. And so when she came, it was just really exciting. She was so wanted, I guess, and longed for. So that was really nice.
Mm,
And I think it's made me happier. Like, in my mother-in-law said it really well. She said like they bring energy, and I couldn't quite understand what she meant with that, but I get it now. I think kids, um they do something new every day, or they learn a new skill every day, or they say something funny, or
mm,
they do something funny but you're not supposed to laugh at them, all of this stuff. And I think that brings a level of everyday excitement and everyday
mhm,
joy. And I think it's added a lot of joy in our life. We were happy before, but we're so happy now. And I think she's just added
mm.
this lovely element. And but she's very happy. She's very smiley. So
That's very sweet. That's so nice
yeah,
to hear. It's lovely to have a positive story.
yeah.
Is there any one particular moment you think when you really felt you weren't coping, or you felt overwhelmed by it all, or very down or depressed?
I, the like the pregnancy or the birth blues or pregnancy blues and all that
The
stuff. I
baby
had
blues, yeah.
baby blues, yeah, that's the word for it. I didn't have that at all. I was
Mm,
prepped for it. I was mentally ready. It's like I probably
mhm,
feel down in a couple of weeks, but that just never came. So
mm,
again, I was super lucky. But if I think for me it was before. I think the hardest bit was right before she came because I kept working and I just really wanted to finish the film and I didn't want to compromise on things too much, and so I put a lot of pressure on myself. And so I think the hardest bit was right before she came because it was just a lot of pressure coming from myself to finish and do things a certain way. And I wasn't, yeah, so that was a bit tough. And yeah, I don't know if after she came, if there was like a certain specific period. You know what? It's actually, if anything, we had so many friends and family come to visit, which was so nice. But I think back to back, so from wrapping the film and working constantly, and
mhm,
then we had like 6 weeks of family and friends visiting, which was amazing. But I think like that baby bubble that people speak about, we did not
mm.
have that at all. Like we
Okay.
barely had a day to ourselves. Me
Yes.
and my husband. So I think by the end of it, when she was like 3 months old, was the first time we actually had a weekend to
Mm.
ourselves, and we were exhausted.
I bet. Yes.
Yeah,
So
so that
if
was
you
intense.
obviously, yeah, that slightly difficult time before she came, if you'd found time to write a letter to
Mm.
yourself with some advice for yourself as a mother, what do you think you would write?
That I probably didn't need all the gadgets I thought I needed.
Okay.
I bought a lot of gadgets I didn't end up using. But one happy surprise, I don't know how you feel about co-sleeping, Maggie, but did you co-sleep with your babies?
I mean, not official, they had a Moses basket, but quite often they would end up in the bed because, I'd feed in
Yeah,
the night and fall
yeah,
asleep. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know what it was. Maybe like my Instagram reel, or but I think I ended up accidentally watching a lot of American videos about
Mhm.
co-sleeping and or being very against co-sleeping actually, and they just
Mhm.
kept on telling me how dangerous it was and all of this stuff. So I bought all of these, like I bought this very expensive crib. I bought these like, American swaddles, all of this stuff. And being very set on, she was going to sleep in this crib and I was going to swaddle her and all of this stuff. And then when we're at the birth ward after she arrived, the first night, and actually on encouragement from the Swedish nurses, they were like, because you get this little Moses basket in the hospital room, don't you, where they put the baby in, the see-through
Mm.
one. And they were like, the doctor is going to tell you to put the baby in this basket.
Mhm.
Everybody else and every mom knows, and the baby knows that he wants to be next to mom all night. And so, with their encouragement, I was too scared. She actually slept in the same bed as my husband the first night because she was so tiny. I was too nervous. But after that, she slept. We co-slept, and
Mhm.
I'd never imagined that I would do that. And that was such a I think, as I mentioned before, we had such a good sleeping baby. I think this was a massive part of it. We co-slept
Mm.
and it felt natural to her, it felt natural to me. And I think it just made our life so easy rather than trying to get this baby to be independent and sleep on his own,
Mm.
so early on. So he was just co-sleeping with us and it worked perfectly. So I think, if anything, I would have try to tell myself to chill in that department.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and
How
it was,
how is life? Again, we have this image that it's very, there's a lot of support for families in Scandinavian countries. Would you
it
say
is
that's the case?
absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
and no joke. Like as I told you, like me and Alex, we stayed in the UK for almost 10 years, but we joked
Mhm.
that when we were in the birthing ward, we felt like we were in a five-star hotel. Like people were so lovely, we were so well kept. But I felt like that from the moment I got pregnant. I was so thoroughly taken care of. I had so many great checkups before, after, and during, and now as well when my going to the health station with her like as a baby and getting her vaccines and the checkups and everything. It's been wonderful. And also in Sweden you get really good parental leave. So you get is it up to a year of full pay. So the mom gets delegated 6 months and then the dad gets delegated 6 months. They can swap and give each other as much as they want, but there's 3 months that he cannot take away from me and 3 months I cannot take away from him. So it actually demands that, both parents stay home at 3 months if they want to use those months, which I
Mm.
think is great,
Yeah.
for making sure that both parents contribute and
Mhm.
encourage both parents to
Yeah, yeah,
contribute,
yeah.
right? So I think that's amazing. And so what is common in Sweden is that the parents will stay at home with, not at the same time, but they will stay at home with the kid to at least a year and maybe a couple months extra so that the kids can start kindergarten when they're above a year old.
Mm.
So
Yeah, well, I do a lot of, advocating for looking after families, and you've just
yeah.
proved the point. If you invest properly in the
Mm,
mother and the other people around them, making sure
mm,
they are cared for in pregnancy and birth and beyond,
mm,
they will be happier and more content
mm,
and less. To my mind, it's so simple, and yet in this
mm,
country, it runs into billions. The cost of
mm.
maternal payouts
I
because
know.
there's not adequate thought given to it. And it costs so much money. It's like, but it's costing money now because you didn't
Yeah,
take care of it. It's just, it
exactly.
makes no sense.
No.
It really
No, no,
doesn't.
no, no, no. And when they're also like encouraging people to have more babies, yeah, but like these things need to be in place for people to
Yeah, yeah.
have kids, you know, they can't afford it otherwise. Someone told me the
Yes,
cost
that
of
too.
kindergarten, like in the UK. I was just like, what? I could not wrap my
Yeah.
head around it. It's mental.
Yes. Yeah. That's crazy.
Hmm.
So, yes, I advocate for matrescence. Is that a word that you'd come across?
No, I actually don't know what it means.
Okay, brilliant. Yay. Yeah, I say in the introduction, matrescence just means becoming a mother. So it was
Oh.
coined by an American anthropologist, Dana Raphael, back in the 70s.
Mhm.
So she compared it to adolescence. It's got the
Oh
same
yeah.
ending to the
Yeah,
word
yeah,
because
yeah.
she said the process of a woman becoming a mother will go through much of the same processes as a child entering teenagerdom. The kind
Oh
of
yeah.
mood swings, the change in body, the new identity. And I think
Mm.
part of why mothers often feel very lonely and scared and isolated is
Mm.
because there's no thought given to how they have changed. It's not just an
Completely.
actual fact of producing a baby. It's how
Yeah.
and you did a lot of your thinking beforehand. How do I
Mm.
want to have a child? What
Mm.
does that mean to become a mother? And is this
Mm.
something that's of interest to me? But
Mm.
and I think a lot of women become mothers because they've had this urge to do it, and then they think, but everyone's saying, oh, just get on with it. And if they say
Mm.
I'm not really coping, oh yes, you've got postnatal depression. It's like, well, maybe I haven't. Maybe it's
Mm.
I've just become a mother, and that brings with it a whole lot of stuff
Oh, completely.
about that
Yeah.
that we need to
Absolutely.
discuss.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I do a
Exactly.
lot of advocating for it.
Yeah, I think that's super. Yeah, absolutely. I forgot to say because I know what you mean about my story being quite positive. Um, One thing I will say though, which I sort of understood later on, because I've always been quite an anxious person growing up, always been like overthinking, and so I think everybody's quite surprised of how stoic and relaxed I've been after Eleanor came. But I think one thing I didn't predict when she arrived and I had this massive project at the same time. I think it set up a really healthy relationship between me and my baby because I was under so much. I had this massive deadline, so that from the moment she arrived, there wasn't any time to overthink. It was like, is she fed? Has she had her, nappy change? Is she happy? Is she good? Is she content? Okay, cool. Then I can crack on. And so I literally did not have time to overthink things. And I think that was detriment to setting myself up as a mum because then I didn't create this habit of which I probably would have done had I not had this other baby to take care of. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I think that was honestly like it was really intense. It was a lot of hard work, and I kept thinking like, oh gosh, I should have more time. But now I see it did set up a good, healthy relationship in some way. There was some good that came out of that for sure.
Mm. And if there was a matrescence disc, as in that we have a thing, desert island discs in the
Yeah,
UK, the
yeah.
kind of a song you'd have on your desert island, what would be the song that you would associate with your matrescence, you're becoming a mother, or
Um,
your motherhood in general, not necessarily
Yeah,
the becoming
yeah,
part?
yeah. I've one thing I find really funny is that when you become a mum, is that there's all of these weird songs that come back in your head, and you're like, oh my God, this one, and then this one, and this one, and it's such a time jump. All of this like really old stuff that you've stored way back in your brain, just like comes crawling back in. And I think one of them is like this song that's called Water is Wide, which I sing to Eleanor. And so my dad used to play guitar and would sing that song. And so we had a lot of music at home. And I think there's something really lovely about singing the songs that they sang to me, to my kid. I think for me, it's like, look at this. That is a really lovely full circle moment. So yeah, the water is wide. But I think it's been done by a lot of different artists. I don't have a specific one, but it's a very lovely song.
Lovely. So, Ida, how can people find out about you and about your film work?
Yes, so they can find my work at idamelum.com, which is spelled IDA. And then the film actually has its own website now. It's called overactingfilm.com. But I'm definitely active on Instagram and stuff like that. So yeah, then you can see my stuff.
Fabulous. And as I said earlier, if you're watching this on YouTube, the trailer for Ovary-Acting is following immediately. Ida, thank you so much for talking to me. It's been really lovely.
Thank you, Maggie.
You want to be a mum, don't you? Such a shame to waste those perfect childbearing hips.
Only 20% chance of getting pregnant after your next birthday.
You really should get on it, darling.
Hi. I'm Ovie.
Ovie?
Your ovaries.
Oh, baby! No! No, 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 no!